Hello again, everybody. This is my second video that I'm providing to the YouTube world. It's about troubleshooting von Hool C or CX model master switch on circuit. So this is going to go a little bit more into detail about what happens after you activate the master switch on the dash, which was discussed in an earlier video, which I'll put the link on to the bottom. This will talk about what happens back by the batteries in the main disconnect switch. So, as discussed before, the most important thing is to make sure you have the correct wiring diagram for the vehicle you're working on. This particular one, CX45, and the year of the vehicle is listed on some, but not all. You also have the part number for the wiring diagram, which is useful for additional troubleshooting help, and then a VIN range if it applies to this particular diagram. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about the actual circuit here. This is the current distribution page in the diagram, and the section we're going to focus on mostly is right here on the center. And I'll pull this up here a little larger. And the reason why we're going to focus on this area is because this is where our batteries are situated in the wiring diagram. So we have battery 2 and battery 1 in this particular case. Battery 2 is the one that shows 12 volts when you're measuring with reference to ground, and battery 2 is going to show the 24 volts. We also have the S070 knife switch or manual disconnect switch, the RL511, the main disconnect relay, the RL511.2, which controls the ground to the main disconnect relay. That's why it's also labeled RL511. Then you have the ZR, which controls RL511.3, which is simply an additional backup to RL511.2 to keep the vehicle main power on while driving down the road. Then you have some fuses here, which we'll discuss a little bit, that pertain to the equalizer, and then to the battery plus circuit, the F2 fuse for the dash switches and the components like the entrance door that need power all the time. And then the equalizer itself, which we'll talk about in a little more detail, just how it pertains to this circuit, and then I plan to make another video just on how the equalizer functions and how to test it all by itself. And then also on the wiring diagram, like I've spoken about before, there's the cutoffs on the page, like the EKV, that show where certain components are located on the vehicle, instrument board, and then all the components that are between the EKV and the instrument board in this section over here. That's how you will locate them. This has an additional little box around it that's in a different area of the bus. So that's why you have to pay very close attention to the special dotted lines. There's also special dotted lines here that say EKV, and then around the equalizer there's its own special dotted line that is set up for the EKB, which is by the battery box in this particular vehicle. So it's very important to pay attention to these things when you're looking for the components on the bus. Alright, so as we discussed in a previous video, identifying the components on the wiring diagram, always look at the previous page. It'll show some of the important things to pay attention to. In our case, the B+ signals or direct to battery. That's the circuit we're actually going to be working on in troubleshooting. And you also have things like the RL511, or they call the ESS, the master relay. There's the EQ for battery equalizer. These are all important things to pay attention to when you're troubleshooting, to make sure you know where they're at and what they are called out in the wiring diagram. So 70 is a manual disconnect switch, and then the 511.2 master relay switch, the hold-in. There's also the additional components here that we have to pay attention to, the BA.1 and BA.2, which are the batteries. Also, there's the ZR, which we're familiar with from the previous video, that controls the main program of the bus, and then additional junction box locations. Always refer to the manual as well for the bus if you're not sure where all the junction box locations are at. Alright, so component images. It's nice to know what the components are called when you're looking at the wiring diagram, but if you don't know what they look like, it's not going to do you much good. So in this case, I want to just point out some of the important component images. The RL511 is also called the ESS. On most of the C models and early CX model coaches, it was this very large box that was mounted kind of behind the batteries. And newer vehicles, this has been changed to a different type of cutoff relay, which I'll do a separate video on at some point, discussing how that's different than this. Then you also have the ZR, which is the main controller of the body controller that controls how everything works on the multiplex part of the bus. This is important because there's a particular output on this ZR, which we'll look at in the diagram, that turns on when the vehicle is going a certain speed to make sure that you can't accidentally shut the master switch off driving down the road. Then you also have the battery equalizer that could be located usually someplace close to the batteries, no matter what model you're working on. You also have breakers and fuses. I put some additional ones up here because we're going to discuss a little bit about D and E. These are larger fuses that are used on the systems in the back of the bus because they're larger cables. So earlier when we were discussing the ignition circuit, we were talking about the small breakers that trip and you can manually trip them. These ones, you cannot manually trip them. Once they blow, they blow like a regular fuse. Then also TBs. So put a little picture in here of what they mean by TBs. These are normally labeled on the bus. These are terminal blocks in their locations where the wiring is secured down with a nut, or usually with a nut, throughout the bus. So anywhere we see TB, you're likely to find something like this in an electrical box where it's suggested that it is on the wiring diagram. You also have SO70, which is the manual disconnect knife switch. On newer buses, this is a little red handle that you can actually turn with two small fingers. The older ones are a little harder to turn, and there's a mechanical lever back here that only allows it to turn about a quarter of a turn. It's very important that you don't turn this off to disconnect power to the bus when the bus is fully powered up and running, because it can cause damage to the knife switch. So use this after the bus is turned off, and this main RL511 relay that we're going to talk about is disabled. And then finally, your standard basic automotive relay is also used in this circuit. All right, so let's take a look at the circuit and identify the conditions like we did on a previous experiment we talked about. So it's really important to go through the circuit and use a pen or something to write on it. And in my particular case here, I highlighted things with a digital pen. So the first thing that's important is to make sure that we have a good chassis ground. So you can see here in the center of the diagram, battery 2 and battery 1. Battery 2 has a ground connection that you'll see go to the connection at the back of the battery compartment. It also goes on to some additional areas of the coach. I just wanted to point this out, that this particular connection is actually a shield that goes around this cable. And then this particular one is a shielded ground cable, which is kind of odd, but it does exist. It's usually for the audio video equipment. You also have the chassis symbol here, and then you have the ground connection that goes over to the equalizer, which is very important that this is all a good connection. Next step, you have the 12 volts. So between the two batteries, there's a connection or a jumper between the two. And then off of that, there's a large cable that runs to TB12, which is a terminal block or a stud, fancy word for a stud that's in the equalizer compartment. This stud provides 24 volts to some additional circuits that need 12 volts to some additional circuits that need power off the page, such as the socket for the driver's area, and then also for the 12 volts for things like the Detroit engine if you have a Detroit in your setup. You also have a fuse here, Z84, that's an 80 amp fuse that protects the equalizer from drawing too much current into it. If there's like a bad battery or something. And it's also to make sure that it doesn't overdo it if there's too many heavy loads between the batteries. So it's really important to check this fuse and to check that the same voltage you read here is what you read at the batteries. That could tell you a good indication that the connection is good and that the fuse is okay. But I would caution against replacing either an equalizer or a battery before first changing the fuse out, because they can sometimes read incorrectly. Next step here, we have a 24 volts at the battery B and equalizer. I call these battery A here and battery B because if you're using the diagram from The equalizer company Vanner, that's how they refer to these, as battery A and battery B, which is easier when troubleshooting to understand them that way. So here we have the TVS Plus, which is the jump post at the back of the bus in the engine compartment. And then we also have, it goes up to SO70, which is the knife switch that's by the batteries. It's the mechanical disconnect switch. There's an additional F2 here that's a 30 amp that goes onto some other circuit. You see there's a little number 5 here. For this particular diagram, that may mean that this circuit is not on every vehicle. This particular vehicle may have it if there's a certain function installed that needs to have 24 volts at it all the time that's outside the disconnect switch. Sometimes that's something like the fire suppression system is really connected almost directly to battery, so that may be one of the components that's there. Then you have, after you shut the knife switch to connect the circuit, the power goes to the RL511, which is the main disconnect relay that controls really every 24 volts to almost everything on the bus. There's some additional wiring that comes off to this part of the circuit diagram that could be traced out if necessary. And those are for things that activate stuff like the master switch on the dash that will turn the bus on when you push the switch, the entrance door, and some components like that that need to have 24 volt power just to be able to get into the vehicle and turn it on in the first place. All right, so our Z88 is in particular that attaches to this. So if you went to Z88 in the compartment and you tested there and had 24 volts, then you would know that this SO70 is working correctly. All right, so then we have, coming back on the top of the page here, this comes from another location on another wiring diagram. This is from the master switch circuit. So when you activate the master switch on the dash, it will send 24 volts to relay 511. However, relay 511 cannot operate yet because it's missing its ground signal over here on the other side. So in order to get that, the same circuit that runs RL511 here will branch off and run 511.2 for the smaller automotive type relay. This relay will close and you'll get the ground signal will continue through and come to RL511, and now that both signals are satisfied, 24 volts and ground, RL511 will close and 24 volt power will be connected from the batteries to the remainder of the bus. Things like the alternators go through this connection and pretty much everything else. So it's very important that these conditions are satisfied. If you can't get right to the back of RL511, sometimes you can go to plug 411.3 in this case, which you see up here at the top, and that will show your 24 volts there. When you activate the master switch, you know that's working. You can also check and make sure there's a good ground at 411.4 with your meter when you activate the master switch. So these are just different locations to check. And that's why it's important to identify these conditions so that you can go to there with your meter and check at these particular test points and make sure you have the readings that are here on the right. The other thing, there's this other one little odd thing up here. You're probably wondering why that's here, which is the ZR, and it's activating this relay 511.13 or 511.3. Right now, there's no activation happening. What occurs is that if you start to drive the vehicle down the road, the relay will be energized, and when the relay gets energized, it will make sure that this ground signal to the master disconnect relay stays connected to ground. And the purpose behind that is if what happens if you're driving and you accidentally hit the master disconnect switch, well, that's going to cut the power to relay 511.2 and everything will go dead on the bus and you're going to come to a stop. So in order to prevent that, this ZR, only when driving, only when it sees the vehicle moving down the road, will keep this closed and keep the vehicle from shutting off. There's also a good troubleshooting point because if the ZR, or the main body on the body computer on the bus, thinks, and I'll put that in quotations, thinks that the coach is driving because of an issue with the speed signal from the transmission or something along those lines, it will also prevent it from shutting down even when you're at a stop. So just an important point to keep in mind in that case. All right, so some final notes I just want to touch on about the equalizer. So the equalizer is always working as long as battery B, which is the one that you can measure 24 volts at, and not attached to the chassis ground, has more voltage than battery A. which is the one attached to the chassis ground. As you probably noticed on the previous drawing, previous diagram, there is no disconnect between the equalizer and the batteries. They're connected, and as long as the two fuses are good, it is always working. Never assume the fuses are okay when the equalizer is not working. It is much less expensive to try new fuses than another equalizer or a battery. Many times people replace the equalizer, or they don't even try to switch the batteries around first, and then they put a new equalizer in and it still doesn't work. And it's because the batteries are imbalanced and the equalizer is unable to balance old bad batteries. Equalizer should be your last thing to troubleshoot to replace. The round plug on the equalizer does not need to be hooked up for the equalizer to work. It's simply used for the battery monitor function. So the green light that you observe on the top of the case. The green light may not always be on. That does not mean that the equalizer is working or not working. It's simply an indication that the monitor part of the equalizer is on, which means when the equalizer is imbalanced and you see a light on your dash, that's because the monitor is working. If you didn't have the plug attached, you wouldn't see any lights. Most of the time the equalizer is not at fault. However, when it does fail, it can drain the batteries overnight. It can be hard to identify as the problem. So if you have a vehicle that drains the batteries overnight after sitting and everything was fine all day long, it seemed like it was running perfectly fine, it is possible that the equalizer may be at fault and you may want to try another one or swap it out with a good known one. The other reason why the vehicle can drain the batteries at nighttime a lot of times is because the inverter, the drive inverter, the inverter for the 110 volt outlets is left on, and somebody left a jumper inside the inverter where the signal comes into to keep the inverter on. So just keep that in mind because that's quite common to have occur, especially if a new inverter's been installed, and all of a sudden you're having dead batteries the next day. And just some final notes. Use your knowledge of where there should be 24 or 0 volts to test each component on the vehicle. When I say 0 volts, I'm referencing ground here. Start at the end of the circuit, work through the other end. Always test your meter on a good battery source to make sure it works correctly and that you didn't accidentally blow any fuses or anything inside of the meter, or that your leads aren't damaged or anything like that. Also, do not rely on test lights for checking the circuits. 12 volts can light up the test light, but it's not enough to activate the input on a node. If you use the test light on the ZR, for example, that could throw off the reading and make the relay and stuff activate. Always make sure you have the most up-to-date wiring diagram before working on an electrical issue, because things may have changed, or maybe that particular VIN number, maybe you have a wiring diagram for a similar coach that's kind of the same range, but there might be a different connector used or something along those lines. And if that happens, you're going to maybe spending a lot of time looking for connectors that don't exist. So it's always important to make sure you have the most up-to-date wiring diagram. If you have any questions, to call and get additional help if necessary.